answer any questions that you might have. And I'm very passionate about this, so if I get carried away, just say something and I'll take care of it, okay? ISARC is a organization, and we've dedicated ourselves to educating and promoting professional search and rescue resources. This started in 2009 when a whole bunch of teams were out scattered throughout the state of Illinois. And what they did is they started seeing each other at searches and decided to get together and create one organization that was a cohesive unit. Okay. Now I say okay a lot too, so bear with me. Be gentle on me. This is my first webinar. So anyway, what we do is we represent the land search and rescue agencies in Illinois. In education, basically what that involves, and we'll go over that a little bit later, but we try to train the teams, educate them the same way. So all the teams do the same. We take them out in the woods and we train them how to properly search. We have a networking system that's very good, because if I design a program for, let's say, water rescue, I share it with all the other teams. And right now there are approximately 68 teams in the state of Illinois, independent but belonging into the ISARC family. We can resource coordinate, which means if I have a search in LaSalle County and I need ATVs, if I need light towers, I can get that material through all of our resources. And professional development. We want to work on, we've been asked by several other states. South Dakota is one. There are some teams in Iowa we're working with. I've got information going to a team in Ohio. We were told we have one of the best basic programs in the area, so we work really hard at making our teams as professional as possible. Membership is agency or organized base, and it includes, like I said, local government, so police department, local emergency management, and MRC. Groups like that can join, but there's also non-governmental organizations that belong to us. An example of this would be like Ilwis Dogs or Canine Search, Gateway Dogs up above by St. Louis. We have Peru Rescue Station, which is a water rescue unit that if we need boats, they provide boats in that for us. And they're an individual standalone unit. So we take a lot of different groups coming in to make this one good group. And the board members are from various spots in the state, so there's equal representation between the state and the groups and these non-governmental organizations. This gives you a rough idea of some of our members. It changes all the time, but the point is we're all working together to accomplish the same goal. These people are really dedicated and really hardworking volunteers, and we hope to have a couple of the MRCs join into this. This gives you an idea of how our state's broken down in the regions, and we have representatives from each one of these districts. Leave that on for a second so you all can look at it. Now, there is no statutory references to search and rescue in the Illinois law. Some states say that in their section that the search and rescue will be handled by the fire departments or the EMA or whatever. There is no such law right now in the state of Illinois. There is an agreement between the Air Force and the governor of the state that the Air Force has an executive agent, and if we need airplanes or we need the Civil Air Patrol, that's a benefit that we have. This outline, like I said, leads to support roles for various civil search and rescue missions. Local law enforcement are basically who's going to get the search call first, who's going to arrive first, and they're going to begin their search responsibilities. We normally get involved upon us after we're asked by the local government. So local government or law enforcement could search for, hours. They could handle a search for themselves for a day. But when it gets to be a little bit bigger, that's when we usually get called. Now, we are not statewide search and rescue. We are not supported by the state in any way whatsoever. But we do not self-supply, and that's a big thing for us. Is if we see here that someone has a search, we don't go unless we're asked to go. They have to, either a law enforcement agency, a fire department, an EMA has to request our services. We just don't show up because it seems like a good thing to do. And because of that, that's why we have the respect that we have. "24/7, 365. Where and why do we search? Well, like I said, 75% of our 75% of our searches either start or end in the dark. We look for what is the survivability and make a determination if our teams can go out. If it's running 10 degrees below zero, finding searchers to go out, that is a problem. But there are those of us that we go out anytime. We do not search in lightning. We temporarily halt the search, but once the weather passes, we're on it. And we don't search for armed criminals. However, we can help manage local law enforcement and assign tracking and help them out. We're just volunteers, and we're really not, I don't want to say we're just volunteers. We are professional, unpaid volunteers, because these teams work really, really hard to do a good job. We can get you, if you belong to ISARC, we can get you, or you call us, we can bring out command posts, lighting, management. And that's a big part of this. Is we take classes like lost person behavior, which is a statistics class that tells us the probability of which way a person's going to go. We can provide you search and rescue personnel. And sometimes it's a situation where somebody will go, "Oh, we want 75 searchers," and that's their dream. And all of a sudden we come up with 80 people for them. And these are 80 trained searchers. We have K9, and which is live. And those of you who don't know, is HR, is human remains detecting dogs, mounted search personnel, and we have rescue search now for water too. Now, how can the MRC be involved in search and rescue? A lot of little things. Number one, they can be ground searchers. Now, and we'll talk about that shortly also, that ground searchers is a tough job. And I think that a lot of people have seen them do ground search on TV, and they're walking through the meadow looking, and it isn't that easy. And that's one of the first things I want to explain. But we can also use you, MRC, for rehab and search rescue incidences. These searchers take a beating when they're in the woods. There's all sorts of neat things like we call it green bob wire, and it is a vine. It has all sorts of sticky spikes on it. Just a bunch of stuff that they go through, and they really need the help when they come back in. For a lot of us, the baseline vitals and exit vitals is very important. Rehab, coordination. This way, if the MRC gets involved, we're not going to have to tie up ground searchers to do some of these things. You're going to free up more ground searchers. We all try to get in our life-saving skills. And this is where MRC can help too, because I'm sure that you have people that can teach CPR, bloodborne pathogens, and basic first aid. Any help that we can get like that makes the search team a whole lot stronger. And we appreciate any knowledge that we can get. So your help that way is a wonderful thing. Critical stress. Some of us, unfortunately, have seen things that we kind of wish we never saw, but it's still part of our job. And to have people in your organization that has some experience in critical stress debriefing really helps us out a lot. You know, if I've seen something, it would be nice to be able to go talk to somebody right now and start to get stuff cleared up. So that's another big part that the MRC can do for Illinois Search and Rescue. Family liaison. Sometimes these searches are very, I would say, fresh, which means we got called early, which is great. And sometimes we need someone to talk to the family and help keep them calm and let us do our job. We don't usually let people, families go searching with us. We don't know all the things, and really we don't wish for them to see how some of these people might have passed. So having someone from your organization being able to talk to them and explain things and bounce back and forth between our command post is really a good thing. And again, it clears up and saves a spot for another ground searcher. Cooling and warming facilities. They have this when the searchers come in. We did a cornfield search, and inside the cornfield was 115 degrees. Searching for a lady. Unfortunately, she did not make it. But you beat up your ground searchers so bad in some of those type of instances to have a place where they can come sit down, cool down, having someone bring them water, help them just calm out and relax a little bit. It's a wonderful thing. Or in weather like this, warming facilities. Just taking that burden off of the searchers really revitalizes them to go out. And some of these teams do 3 or 4 search segments. So they go home or they come back, they rehab a little bit, and then they'll go out and search for another couple hours. And then come back in, search our segment, maybe get something to eat quick, relax a little bit, and go out and do another segment. So anything that the MRC can do to help this is really a good thing. Excuse me. And we appreciate it. To talk about ISARC training, one of the big things about our training is everybody is taught to do the same thing. So when we put teams together to go out and search, and they're usually in groups of 5 or 6, and the crew leader. Now they might get 2 people from my team. They might get 2 members from Will County. They might get 2 members from Tazewell County. But the thing is, the crew leader knows if they've been trained by us, everybody's trained the same. They know that they're going to do this technique. They know that they're going to do what we call 360s. They know what basic equipment they have on them. Everybody's trained the same, so you know what you're going to get. And that's really important. Now, we offer several types of training. Now, if you want to be a ground searcher, one of the first things you need to take, and it's a requirement, is basic land navigation. And it's about a 6-hour class, depending on who's teaching it. But we teach you how to use a compass and how to do flankers. And flankers are basically people who set up your search territories. And they set like a bowling alley, is how I describe it. And the flankers are the gutters, and the searchers search between the gutters. And then that way we know that they run a distance, their lines are straight, and we know that we've covered that territory at least 85 to 90%. And that's really high. And the difference, this is a good point, this difference between trained volunteers and untrained volunteers, spontaneous volunteers, is that we run an 85%, hopefully an 85% find rate, where untrained volunteers are not trained in things like evidence, clues, and so they run about 25%. And if they find it, it's because they put like a whole bunch of people in an area and just turn them loose. And we do a very precise search. Okay. So that's a 6-hour class. The next class is ground search and rescue operations, GSAR class. And we teach you basic skills. We teach you what equipment that you need. We teach you how to search, how to look for clues, how to look for evidence. And there's different patterns that we use. So all this is done, and we do a night search. So everybody gets an experience of searching at night. So the first day is about 12 hours, and we start classroom, and then we start working on field skills. And then we come back the next day and do about a 4-hour spot where we actually make a search happen. So you get a lot of good training in that time period. Search and rescue initial operations, it covers about the first 3 hours of search. And you see that about 81% of the incidents are solved in that period of time. Now, initial search operations is a class that we teach, and we've developed it, and it's basically for law enforcement and fire, because they're going to get the initial call, and we give them places that they need to look first, and how to start the paperwork and the interviews. So if they have to call us, we're already in the right direction. So that's the whole purpose of initial search and rescue operations. But if you're into the search about 2 hours, like you have grandma walks away from a nursing home, and you're 2 hours into this, you need to start be thinking, I better call search and rescue or search management team so we can see what we have and where we can get going. So that's the purpose of that. Search management, it says it covers the first operational period, and the first operational period is about the first 10 to 12 hours. And that gets the teams organized. It sets up our search areas. We have a program called SAR-Topo, which is a computer-based, and you can, on a map, you can set up search territories. And then when the team comes on, they all get on their phones, plug in a number, and you can watch that team live time search that area. And we can see if we missed any places, if there's a spot that we couldn't search and maybe get another team in to help us. but that's live time. They put up a big TV screen and they can watch the team search. And management takes care of all that for us. And I know I'm going a little fast, but it's hard to explain until I get into your specific questions. Now, we have an ISARC website. It'll be coming up. You can check our minutes from our organization. You can see what trainings where, and you can get a feel of actually how this organization is working. Networking. We're networking right now. I go to the Elias conference, the MABIS conference. I've gone to the IEMA conference, the IESMA conference. I'm there. I set up a booth, and I'm willing to talk to anybody that wants to talk about search and rescue. We have an annual conference, and over that weekend, to give you an idea, the last one was held in DeWitt County at Little Galilee Christian Camp. And you can stay at the camp and talk to all these people from different teams. There's some really great friendships that come out of this. And people look at each other's gear and go, hey, I never thought about getting this kind of pack or getting this kind of vest, or how does that light work? We're constantly working back and forth. If something comes down on a different technique, how to do something, we pass that on to the teams. It's a constant information. If I have a team that wants a class on water rescue, I go through what material I've collected over the years and I send it to them so they can teach their teams, and we can do it better. Always trying to improve what we do. We have a resource directory that we keep track of who has what. Every team has to fill out what we call a resource guide. How many people do you have? How many people are trained in management? How many are instructors? What kind of equipment do you have? It's a constant building of what capabilities we have. You know, if we have the River Rescue in Peru has an Argo, which is a UTV, utility terrain vehicle that has tracks on it and goes in water. And it has a little boat motor on it. We have specialty equipment. We keep track of who has what training. Are you just a searcher, or can we put you in management role? So how do you contact ISARC? Well, you have a phone number, and we have a person that runs a 24-hour hotline. We can be emailed. And online, you can look at www.illinoissar.org, and it's got all the information there. Now, the thing I don't have on here is you can call me as outreach chairman. And again, my name is Tom Faust, F-O-U-S-T. And I can be contacted at 815-681-6333. And my wife always wonders why I spend so much time on the phone. And my email is tomj645 at myyahoo.com. And I'll be glad to answer any questions or anything that I can do to help you. Now, I know I got through this, but does anybody have any questions?
Hey, Tom. First, thank you so much for that presentation. That was very informative. Let me put your email address in the chat. And if anybody has questions and they'd like to ask Tom, you can either put it into the chat or you can raise your hand and I can call on you. So I'll start with you first, Tom. Again, thank you so much. I think search and rescue is a really, really valuable mission for MRCs to consider. I say this with a lot of experience in MRCs. I've been the regional I was the regional liaison from 2011 to I think it was 2022 when I left, and over Region 5 and Region 3, and the units universally, the ones that have a search and rescue support team or a mission that they will be able to support in their community. I found them to be really active, and they have volunteers that were engaged, and primarily it's because this is one of those missions that you don't have to be a medical professional. So, as leaders, you're always looking for something that you can include your non-medical into that is fulfilling and meaningful. And this is one of those. This is an emergency response. And other typical emergency responses, you may not be able to be called out to because it's strictly EMA. So I think this is a good idea to at least consider. Um, Tom, what are the first steps in your mind that an MRC leader should go through if they're curious and interested in seeing if they can support or start a support team in their jurisdiction?
Okay, one of the problems that we're running into is some of the people, they see this as a really good idea and it's kind of fun, but they can't get their EMAs to decide whether they, or their county to decide if they can leave the county or not. And that is a major issue that we've got to resolve, because unless we have a search in York County, there really isn't anything for you to do as support team wise unless you're able to leave. An example of that is, let's say we have an MRC in Will County and we've got a search going in LaSalle County, and it would be great to have the MRC to come and, set up their little 10 by 10 tent and start taking care of our searchers. But if you can't leave the county, that is a problem for us. So that is one of the things to consider. I think another thing is that a lot of us have to get mentally right that they've seen these searches on TV again, that they walk through the meadow and everything's fine. Well, unfortunately, search work is hard work.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard. Um, it's not glamorous. It's just plain hard work. I've got several things I've noted here that there are no regular hours on a search. You could be called out Christmas Day, New Year's Day, working hours, or at any time of day or night. As long as anything worthwhile can be accomplished, we're doing it. It's not always possible to get to return to headquarters or a restaurant or meal times.
Yeah, Monday and Tuesday is supposed to be super cold.
That's
Oh, cold.
in,
That's
in the,
probably the coldest we've had.
okay,
Sorry,
I'm
keep
sorry.
going. No, that's okay.
Oh,
Someone was just unmuted.
okay. It's just that you have to be self-sustaining for the first 24 hours. That means I carry a lot of candy, stuff I shouldn't have. I carry water. I carry all sorts of snacks with me because I have to anticipate I might not get fed for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to kind of prepare for that. The third problem is it's like anything else emergency wise. A lot of these counties, a lot of these people don't have equipment. The county hasn't given them money for equipment. So a lot of the stuff that you have
Mm-hmm.
or that you get, you buy yourself. It's an expensive hobby. Now you can find, if you look right, you can find stuff cheap. But again, you're going to find it. Once you start this, you get into this thing where, boy, I saw that vest the other day and that looks pretty cool. So, I'll get one of those.
Mm-hmm.
And then 6 months later, someone else has got even a better vest. And then you go, oh, I really like that one better. And it's just like any other hobby. But as an example, the first two pieces of equipment you really need is a good pair of boots and a compass, a good compass. And you're looking at $150. But if your feet hurt when you're searching, you're not a good searcher. So you have to plan for these kind of expenses.
Thanks for talking about that investment. let me bring you back again to the steps. Can the MRC be start a search and rescue support team without the buy-in? I mean, I'm guessing the answer is no, but without the buy-in and partnership of their emergency management agency.
I would say they can, and this is how I would suggest we could do it,
Okay.
is number one, you can join as a support group. You can join the ISARC. That's a $75 investment. Now, all the other training that we have, the search management class, the ground search class, this is all free when you're an ISARC member.
Okay.
So let's say you get some of your people together and they decided they want to do a support team. Well, we're working on a lesson plan right now of what a support team will do. We don't have that, but it's in the process of being done.
Okay.
But you can still go and join ISARC, see what they have, and you can try out the BNAV class. It doesn't cost you anything. You could try it out and see if you like it. And that way you can get a feel for if that's something you would really like to do or not. Did that answer your question?
I think so. I would still recommend to the unit leaders to at least have a discussion with your own directors, the head of your health departments, whoever. I think most of you are sponsored by a health department. They at least need to be able to buy into this new mission, since if you are going to send your volunteers out, if there's any kind of volunteer protection over them, they would need to know. There's also, of course, the option of getting volunteer insurance, but I will chat about that a little bit later. I think the only other question I had for you, Tom, was you mentioned in the middle of your slide something about 70% of your searches where you guys are called in happens at night.
Yeah, that is
Is
one
it
of the
because
down.
you're like the relief to the initial ground search?
Yes and no. A
Okay.
lot of times what will happen is um, somebody will come up missing, like grandma or some poor child with a disability or something. And we're working really hard to get with our law enforcement partners to call us sooner. But what they'll do is they'll work on this for 8-10 hours,
Mhm.
and then they're realizing that they're in over their heads or they don't know where to go next. So then they'll call us at 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock at night to come in and figure out how they're going to help them. So
Gotcha.
that's how we get involved in a lot of these late night searches.
Okay, understood. I have one question from Marcia. Um, can an MRC unit support or offer surge capacity to other counties' search and rescue teams if your EMA is not on board going outside of your county?
Okay,
I can repeat the question if you want me to.
please, I'm trying to work this out in my head, but go ahead and
Sure.
try it again.
Can an MRC unit support or offer surge capacity to other county search and rescue teams if your EMA is not on board going outside of your county? So you mentioned that one of the difficulties is that if they're not allowed to go outside a county, what you mean by that is that they're not protected. They don't have the okay to go outside of their county. In your example, it was maybe Will County going to LaSalle County if the search is happening in LaSalle. Marcia is asking, is there still any way that MRC outside that didn't get the approval to go outside of their county borders, is there any way they could still offer support?
Yes. Number one, again, like I said, it helps if you're a member, but it also makes it so they become what we call a non-governmental agency. So let's say you've got 15 people that really, really want to do this, and they can join ISARC as that group as long as they have someone to verify that these are legitimate. This is a legitimate search team. There are several reasons why. Number one, everybody has to be criminal history checked. We want to make sure that we don't have any pedophiles or bad people in our search teams if we're looking for a child or something like that. First issue. Second issue is, if you tell us you're a legitimate team and some fire chief or police chief signs out for you and vouches for you, then we know that we're not getting one of the terms, I guess, is called a poser. Like they did in California, they got looters who are dressing like firemen going out and raiding through the houses.
Yeah.
We make sure that our teams are legitimate and these are verified people.
Okay.
Marcia, does that answer your question?
Yeah, so I think another concern is liability, because I understand our MRC volunteers are covered under county insurance, but when if they would administer services outside of our county, I don't know if that liability coverage would, still be there for them.
That depends on the county, because like LaSalle County covers me, and if I go to a search in Cook County, God help me, I'm covered. My team's covered. And for the instructors, ISARC does carry a liability insurance on the instructors.
And Tom, if they decided, you mentioned your example was 15 individuals who can be verified and vetted, join ISARC under a non-governmental agency, would they then be covered through ISARC?
No, ISARC does not have insurance.
Okay.
Okay, we are covered by each individual county that belongs to it.
So they would still need some sort of coverage through their origin of organization.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, if your group, if you've got 20 people, you get together, they can check on, okay, Pearl River Rescue, we carry our own liability insurance. We take care of our members, and it doesn't cost us, it's kind of expensive, but it's not too bad, if that makes any sense. I think we pay $1,000 a year for coverage on all the people for the river rescue.
Okay. Hopefully that's somewhere to start, Marcia. Maybe you can check with your you and any other unit leader that's thinking of the same question, to start with your legal counsel. Like I said, make sure your leadership above you is aware, and maybe that can help to get some buy-in for coverage. I will talk about liability protection, volunteer protections in a little bit, but I want to make sure I ask anybody who hasn't had a chance to ask the question. Or if you want to ask another question, so that's fine also. Please put it in the chat or raise your hand before we move on. No question is dumb. I promise.
Well, this is kind of a technical thing, and a lot of people, they need to know. I guess I didn't want people to jump on this and then they get there and they, get a big buy-in and then realize that this isn't what they wanted to do. And I was working really hard with Marcia to prove that I want you to have as much information as possible. We would love to have you. We would love to have your groups in, but I don't want anyone to get this false sense of hope that this is just a very easy thing to do.
Mm-hmm. And so to that end, Tom, you're willing to come and do some training similar to what you're about to do in Marcia's community, to do this intro, so to speak, so that you can, or the unit leader can gauge some interest.
That's right. Plus, if you're interested, I send out, what I did is during the IEMA conference, I sent out, I had packets and it had my team manual in it. It had what I expect the team members to give me, what my team members can expect out of me as a team leader. I found something in there kind of humorous about search and rescue. And I have an equipment pack list. I can help you with those things if you're really interested in getting into it. Okay. And it might answer a whole bunch of questions.
Okay.
And like I said, the ISARC SARIO class is free. We'll teach anybody that request it, and you don't have to be an ISARC member to get it. Okay, we'll teach it to any law enforcement, fire department, EMA if they want the class. The second thing is, like I said, all of our training is free, and we'll do anything we can help you with. And you do not have to be an ISARC member. If you have a search, and I'll use Marcia's Monroe County, if you have a search in Monroe County and the EMA calls us, we will come. Might take us a while to get there, but we'll be en route. We go any place in the state that requires this. You don't have to be a member.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for all of that knowledge that you were willing to share with us. And I hope the unit leaders took down your email address. Please reach out to Tom if there's any questions that come up. So I will close you out. Tom, please feel free to join, keep with us. I'm just going to give some reminders till the end of this webinar. I neglected to say when I said hello, I neglected to introduce myself. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jeanette Tandez Johnson. I work with Merkle. I'm their project manager over the MRC Strong Grant. Bethany is not here today, but she is my planning lead. And we've been really grateful to meet most of you, some in person, mostly in email, especially those that are newer to your position. So if you have any questions regarding the Strong Grant opportunities in Illinois, please let us know. Don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Bethany. We're here to serve you. So I'd like to start off with a really quick poll. Hopefully you see it on your screen in just a second. Here we go. As most of you know, we have an opportunity right now where we are able to sponsor about $800 for you to purchase emergency preparedness supplies. Please let me know if you have purchased, or if you don't intend to, or you haven't yet, but you do intend to before the end of Friday, January 17th, which is when it closes. Also, if you don't know about this opportunity, please let me know so that we can reach out to you. So I'll give you 5 more seconds to answer that poll. It's telling me I had to also submit. So, all right. So it looks like don't count myself. I didn't know about the opportunity because I had to choose something. So it looks like the vast majority of you did say you have already ordered. And for those that said no, you are intending to before the end of tomorrow. Wonderful. So good to hear. If you're one of the individuals that didn't know about this opportunity, please put your email address in the chat. We've had some occasions where emails have been bouncing back to us. And we're not sure if it's because we're attaching the newsletter, which I'm about to show you, or at least talk about. And if that's the case, we're not aware that for some of you, that you're not even receiving it. And we want to make sure that we find a way to get the information to you securely. So let me just go through a few reminders with you. For those of you that were with me last month, these are similar reminders, but I do want to tie it into what Tom has been talking about. So every month, around the third week of the month, Bethany will be sending out an updated newsletter, which has pretty much every opportunity that we're offering right now under the MRC Strong Grant. We did this so that you have a document at your fingertips and it has all the links, and it'll be an easy reference guide for you. So first, I mentioned the emergency preparedness supplies offer. So if any of you have not yet put in your order, please remember that it will be closing at the end of January 17th. I'll keep it open till midnight, just in case some of you forget and you're rushing home from work and you forget. Please do so. We want to make sure that you take advantage of this opportunity. And it's got a lot of neat items that you can purchase for your MRC's use. Oh, I do have to say this particular training arm disappeared from Amazon. So we have a replacement. It's not exactly the same system, but it's similar, just so that you have a stop the bleed training system that you can use. Thanks to all of you who have been helping us get the word out about the remarkable, I apologize, that should say remarkable training workshops, not REMRC. The first one was already completed on December 7th. The next one is in February 8th. The registration numbers are around the 50s right now. Guys, if you are anywhere around the central region band and you think you might have some volunteers, partners, colleagues, other organizations in your community that you think could benefit from going to this, please share the flyers with them. We are spending and investing in not just a curriculum, but the venue and the food costs. We just want to make sure that it is used. So that February 8th will be in Central Illinois, and then March 15th is in Southern Illinois. We are offering CE credits for nursing and mental health right now. We haven't been able to complete the pre-hospital CE's assurance that it will be there. So I don't want to say that it will be offered. And then just as a glimpse, here's our agenda. So it is pretty robust. We will have basic tracks, advanced tracks, and leadership tracks. You do not have to, and you please, share this information with your volunteers and others. They don't have to stay in a basic track. So even if they're a new volunteer and they're interested in an advanced track on autism awareness, they can move around. They don't have to stay. We're also offering certification on first aid, and then also CPR AED that does require pre-registration. We will pay for the cost for your certification. And of course, the training is free. This whole training workshop is free. We are also, this is new, hot off the press, we are offering an incentive to any MRC unit leader that is able to have at least 5 individuals that you've invited show up to the conference. And if you do, we will give you one of those emergency preparedness kits, the one that comes that we give out at the workshop, and we will give you that if you're present, or we will send it to you if you're not. And that is for your personal home use. So, you could use the other one for your MRC, and this one that you are going to receive as an incentive for helping us get the registration numbers up just for yourself. The MRC Strong Grant Subaward is due to close at the end of this month. Application closes 1/31/2025. This ties in greatly with what Tom was talking about, because if you do need a subaward to cover costs to start your support team, to get that equipment, I can't say that the boots will be covered. To be honest, most apparel is not covered unless it's a uniform, logoed uniform that the volunteer has to return. If they choose not to be a volunteer anymore, because you don't want, anybody just walking around with MRC logoed shirts that might allow them to go into somewhere that they shouldn't be, into an area they shouldn't be. But the vests, compasses, anything else that you can think of, backpacks that they might need, you can certainly use a subaward for development of that particular strike team. So please do consider that. Any questions about the subawards, please let us know. We're happy to help you. We want to get the funds out to you. There's 2 tiers offered, 5,000 and 10,000. The local training opportunity, hopefully most of you have considered this. Merkel is, on behalf of using the Strong Grant Awards, is going to sponsor each local unit up to $2,700 to bring a trainer into your area to do one of the 5 training topics that's listed there, and search and rescue is one of them. So it will cover the cost to belong to ISARC. It will cover any, although the training is free through Tom, if there's any travel expenses that he has to incur or the trainer has to incur to go to your area, we will cover it under that $2,700. Some of them are virtual, like there is a mental health virtual one that, so you don't exactly have to ask your volunteers to even come to the same location. But please do consider this. This is a really great opportunity for you to get some training and additional knowledge to your unit. And you can also use this, by the way, as a way to recruit. Use any of these opportunities to recruit, including the workshops. This flow chart is just here to show you that once you submit your request, you then have to decide whether you want to use one of our vendors that we're suggesting or a local vendor. And either way, we need to know the information from the vendor, and you do need to fill out whatever paperwork that they might require you to fill out. So we cannot do that for you. There is usually a piece that you will have to complete in order for us to proceed. We will confirm the costs, and then we'll come back to you and say, hey, the total for the cost is 3,000. We can cover 2,700. You still want to go forward, or, you know, whatever the situation may be. We just want to make sure you're always aware before we just move forward. Please remember that there's also some infrastructure support that Merkle is offering to you, again, through the Strong Grant. They're going to cover up to 20 background checks through Illinois Helps or the Sterling system. So you can use this for your recruitment purposes, new members, strike team members, etc. Rechecking of current members if you need to do that, and before you deploy them. So that opportunity is there for you, as well as liability protection. $600 is actually quite a lot, especially if you use something like VIS. I think their volunteer insurance service. If you look up volunteer insurance and put VIS, they will come up. And the reason I'm using them as an example is they spoke at the webinar, and they did use as an example that if you typically activate no more than 15 volunteers, you can cover 15 volunteers. It is not tied to the name of the volunteer. It is simply that every time you have an activity that you're activating your volunteers, they will cover 15 volunteers. And that's liability protection. And you can always discuss with them. For example, if you want to do the search and rescue team, can you use that insurance to help your volunteers go outside your jurisdiction? I believe the answer is yes, but we can double check that so that it's helpful to you. I'm going through this very quickly, and if you have any questions, please raise your hand or put them in the chat. You are already here today, but just so you know that the next topic in February is going to be about background checks and registration in Illinois Helps. And then we have a representative from Sterling System that's going to talk about going through their system for the background check process. We're also going to take about 10-15 minutes at the beginning of that webinar to meet your MRC leaders who are putting themselves up to be elected for the positions that are open in the Merkle board. So please come and meet those folks who are willing to step up to be leaders for you for the state. And that's it. So we have a few minutes left. Is there anybody that has questions about any of those MRC opportunities through Merkle? Okay. Thank you, Mary. We worked hard on that newsletter. The recording and the slides will be posted on the Merkle website. Like I said, Bethany is out. She's typically the person that does that for me, but it will be up there. I'd say give us about a week, and it should be up on the Merkle website under the coordinator resources.
If I may say anything really quick, thank you for letting me have the opportunity to talk to everybody. And
Yes.
again, if there's anything I can do for anybody, please let me know. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tom. I'm really hoping this webinar is going to spark some ideas and engagement, and the reminders that all these financial opportunities are there to support you if you really want to do this. It's there. We can do this.
Well,
Okay.
I'm here to help any way I can. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. We really appreciate you and your partnership. Really appreciate my start. Thank you. All right, guys, you're free to go. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend. Happy New Year, by the way.